since you not only noticed my new hairstyle, but complimented it. Poor Marshall is mourning the length I cut off." They rounded a corner. The salon was directly in front of them, its doors thrown open wide, spilling light and music into the corridor. Inside, a respectable crowd of several dozen mingled over drinks. Jordan smiled mischievously and bent to speak in a low voice near her ear. "Since you'll not go rest, at least say you'll leave Marshall and elope with me, Isabel. I'll take you to Paris and buy 100 hats to adorn your new hair." Isabel threw back her head and laughed as they entered the room, drawing admiring gazes from the assembled guests. "You grow more outrageous by the day," she scolded, her blue eyes swimming with mirth. "If you don't hurry up and marry, you'll soon be so scandalous no decent woman will have you." "You've uncovered my scheme," he replied in jest, raising his voice slightly to be heard over the hired musicians seated at the pianoforte in the far corner. "If no decent woman will have me, then my dear stepmamma must stop badgering me to shackle myself to one." Their private conversation ended as Marshall broke away from a group of gentlemen to meet them. His arms slipped protectively around Isabel's expanded waist, concern etching his features. "Are you feeling better?" he asked. "You don't have to do this, darling. I'm sure among Lady Thorburn and Naomi and myself we have everything well in hand." Isabel laid a reassuring hand against her husband's cheek. Their sweet, open affection moved Jordan. He was happy for the joy his friends found in one another, but very much doubted he was meant for any such relationship. The permanence of marriage scared the daylights out of him. Jordan couldn't bear to stay in one geographic location longer than a month or two at a time. How could he be expected to remain at one woman's side for the rest of his life? The Duchess moved on to speak with her guests. Marshall turned nonchalantly to face Jordan, lifted his wine, and swirled it beneath his nose. "There's someone in my study to see you," he murmured, his lips concealed by the glass. Jordan frowned. "Who?" "Go," Marshall mouthed silently, his dark eyes cut to the door. Feeling foolish for leaving almost as soon as he'd arrived, Jordan retreated from the social gathering. Curiosity put a spring in his step as he found his way upstairs to the study. He knocked once on the door and entered. The smell of leather and ink greeted him as his eyes sought out his summoner. A head of close-clipped, greying hair looked up from where it had been bent over papers. Jordan shook his head ruefully as he shut and locked the door behind him. Was there nowhere the man could not engross himself in work? "Freeze!" Lord Castlereagh nodded once and gestured to a chair across the desk. "Fine," Jordan said as he took a seat. "Thank you so much for asking. And how does the night find you, Robert?" The Foreign Secretary's lips turned up in a small smile. He tossed his quill onto a sheet of paper, his hard eyes glinting in the light cast by the candelabra on the end of the desk. "I don't waste time on idle chit-chat, Jordan Atherton, and if you knew what was good for you, neither would you." "I find it singular," Jordan rejoined, "that I've been turned away from your office every time I've attempted to see you this year. But here you are," he said, spreading his hands wide, "running me to ground at a charity auction, pulling my strings as deftly as a puppet master. I should like to have a word with you." "And I with you," Castlereagh said, leaning back in the borrowed chair. "That's why I've come. I'd hoped to accompany you to Paris." Jordan hadn't meant to blurt it out. He only hoped he hadn't sounded like a petulant child. Castlereagh pursed his lips. "You'd have been no good